the president made a directive, which is highly unusual, telling a legislature, the Texas legislature, mid-decade to do redistricting, when we do that every 10 years. And it just so happened that the Assistant Attorney General sent a letter to that legislature after the president made his announcement and said that your investigations suggest 4 districts are in violation of federal law.
Is there a question, Senator?
There's a point here that it's hard to believe that that wasn't coordinated.
Well, let me draw your attention to a different fact that refutes your argument, namely the governor of the state that I called home for 25 years also called for redistricting in the state of California, and I haven't sent a letter to California. So correlation is not causation, Senator.
Which 4 districts did you say are in violation?
It was a Senate showdown that exposed everything wrong with today's political theater. A U.S. senator demanding loyalty to a narrative and a courageous American standing firm on principle. When Senator Welch asked Harmeet Dhillon one loaded question, who won the 2020 election? What followed wasn't just a legal exchange. It was a test of conviction, of courage, and of constitutional clarity. And what Harmeet did next shook the entire hearing. Welcome to America Viewpoint, where we speak the truth, defend our freedoms, and fight for the values that made this nation great. No censorship, no woke spin, just bold, unfiltered commentary from real Americans who love this country. If you're tired of the lies and ready to stand for faith, family, and freedom, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the Liberty Bell, because this is where the fight begins.
Well, sounds like a plan. Senator Welch.
Thank you very much. Ms. Dhillon, who won the 2020 election for president?
Senator, I previously testified on this matter. President Biden was declared the winner of that election, and I honor that and respect that.
So, but you can't say he won.
I mean, he was the president for 4 years. He clearly was the president.
Most of us know that. I'm asking if he won.
I've answered your question, Senator.
But you haven't. I want to ask you a question about Texas redistricting. As you know, President Trump has recently encouraged, I'll use that, Texas Republicans to do mid-cycle redistricting in order to gain more seats in the House of Representatives. I understand that after the president made that decision or that announcement, you personally sent a letter on July 7 to Texas in your capacity as Assistant Attorney General, arguing that 4 Democratic districts violate federal law. Is that the case?
It is the case that I sent a letter under my authority to administer the Voting Rights Act and indicate that in light of our analysis of 4 so-called coalition districts in Texas, that those districts were inconsistent with the Voting Rights Act.
And the date of July 7 was just coincidental, that it occurred after the president had called on the Texas legislature to do mid-decade redistricting?
I don't remember what date, Senator. I probably sent 300 letters since I've been in this office. And so what I can say is that I send no letter or make no request without proper investigation.
Have you sent any other state legislature a letter where you have indicated that districts within their state are in violation of federal law?
Not yet.
More redistricting to come?
I don't know. I have to investigate the facts.
Before you sent the letter on July 7, did you have any conversation with any representatives of the White House?
Senator, as you're aware, there are privileges that are involved in all executive branch communications, and I'm not able to testify without breaching the Department of Justice's guidelines in that regard, so I'm unable to answer any questions about conversations I may have had with other executive branch officials.
I'm not asking you what the content of the conversation was. I'm asking whether there was any conversation with anyone from the White House before you sent that July 7 letter.
Senator, I have the same answer. I think you're aware of the broad scope of privileges that apply to lawyers' conduct.
Well, here's what I'm aware of. The president made a directive, which is highly unusual, telling a legislature, the Texas legislature, mid-decade to do redistricting when we do that every 10 years. And it just so happened that the Assistant Attorney General sent a letter to that legislature after the president made his announcement and said that your investigations suggest 4 districts are in violation of federal law.
Is there a question, Senator?
There's a point here that it's hard to believe that that wasn't coordinated.
Well, let me draw your attention to a different fact that refutes your argument, namely the governor of the state that I called home for 25 years also called for redistricting in the state of California, and I haven't sent a letter to California. So correlation is not causation, Senator.
Which 4 districts did you say are in violation?
I did not come here to testify about that, but if you wish to have a follow-up with me about it, I'm happy to pull up my research. I'm not.
Would I be surprised that those were Democratic districts?
I don't know how to answer that, Senator. I'm not here to testify about that. I'm sure it's convenient to try to distract from the purpose of this hearing, which is to talk about DEI, but that is not what I'm prepared to testify about here today, Senator.
You have put a freeze on activities that the Justice Department in your division had done before, and you have walked out of settlements. I'm going to talk about Lowndes County in Alabama.
Senator, I think you're misinformed. There was a temporary freeze prior to my taking office. There's no freeze on activities. I filed numerous lawsuits, opened dozens and dozens of investigations, entered into numerous settlements, opened hate crime investigations involving numerous religious backgrounds. So I don't know what you're talking about, Senator.
Well, I don't have that much time, so we'll have to take this up in the second round of questioning. So I yield back. My time is up.
Thank you. Before we get to Senator Lee, it's worth pointing out that Texas's current congressional map was.
Let's get right into it. Senator Welch opened his questioning of Harmeet Dhillon with one line that was designed to corner, discredit, and politicize. Who won the 2020 election? Now, in any normal constitutional republic, that's a simple question, right? We have an electoral college, states certify results, and Congress counts them. But this wasn't about clarity. It was about ideological purity. Welch wasn't seeking facts. He was demanding submission. And Harmeet? She didn't flinch. She said what any honest, Constitution-respecting attorney would say. President Biden was declared the winner of that election, and I honor that and respect that. Boom. Case closed, right? Not for Welch. He pressed again. But you can't say he won. This wasn't about the presidency. This was about forcing a nominee to kneel before the media narrative, to say the magic words, to show fealty to the ruling orthodoxy, not the rule of law. But Harmeet stood her ground. She wouldn't play their game. And that's exactly what we need in this country. People who don't buckle under political pressure. Then the interrogation shifted. Welch went full political operative, accusing Dhillon of targeting Democratic districts in Texas with a letter she sent as Assistant Attorney General. Why? Because, and this is rich, President Trump had called for Texas Republicans to explore redistricting. Welch jumped on the timing like it was a smoking gun. Trump speaks, and then Harmeet acts? Must be coordinated, right? Wrong. Harmeet, with the calm confidence of a constitutional conservative, shut that down immediately. She explained she'd sent over 300 letters in her role, that each one was backed by investigation. That correlation isn't causation. And that no, she didn't coordinate with anyone from the White House. And even when Welch tried to trap her into revealing communications, she stood tall, citing executive privilege and DOJ guidelines. This isn't stonewalling, folks. This is following the rule of law. Let's be honest, Welch didn't want answers. He wanted headlines. He wanted to paint a picture of political manipulation, when the truth is this. Harmeet was doing her job, and doing it with integrity. Now here's the kicker. Welch tried to claim this letter was proof of coordination, because, according to him, she hadn't sent similar letters to other states. But Harmeet didn't just call that out. she nuked it. She pointed out that California, a state where she lived for 25 years, also had calls for redistricting. And guess what? She didn't send a letter there. If she were playing politics, wouldn't she have gone after California too? This wasn't political targeting, it was legal enforcement. Based on a law, not partisanship. The left loves to scream about defending democracy. But when someone enforces the law equally, suddenly they cry foul, if it doesn't benefit them politically. Where's the accountability for that hypocrisy? But here's what really stood out. The whole line of questioning had nothing, and I mean nothing, to do with the topic of the hearing, diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, in the Department of Justice. So what was Welch doing? He was doing what Washington does best, distracting. Because they don't want to talk about DEI. They don't want to admit that under this administration, DEI has become a smokescreen for unconstitutional policies, race-based decision-making, and woke ideology masquerading as equity. Welch used his time not to seek the truth, but to deflect. He tried to turn a hearing on justice into a witch hunt for ideological wrongthink. And thank God Harmeet didn't take the bait. Let's take a moment to appreciate what Harmeet Dhillon represents. She's a constitutional attorney. She's defended First Amendment rights. She's fought for parental rights, election integrity, and equal treatment under the law. And now she's being grilled because she won't parrot the regime's talking points? Because she had the nerve to say Biden was declared the winner, instead of playing into their ritualistic narrative? Give me a break. This is the very definition of political persecution, not with prison bars, but with Senate microphones. We need more public servants like Harmeet, principled, prepared, and unshakable in the face of leftist bullying. Let me ask you something. Why is it that the same people who said Russia stole 2016 now demand that no one question 2020? Why is it okay for Hillary Clinton to call Trump illegitimate, but if you raise concerns about mail-in ballots or election integrity, suddenly you're labeled an extremist? The double standard is glaring, and Harmeet's refusal to engage in that double standard is why they hate her. She didn't deny Biden is president. She didn't spread conspiracy theories. She simply stated the legal truth, that Biden was declared the winner, and she honors that process. That's called nuance. That's called principle. But the woke left doesn't want nuance. They want submission. And she didn't give it to them. Make no mistake, my fellow patriots. These hearings aren't about finding truth. They're about sending a message. If you don't repeat our narrative, we'll come after you. We'll question your judgment, your motives, your integrity. But Harmeet sent a different message back. I will not bend. I will not break. I will not be bullied into betraying the law for politics. That's the kind of courage we need at the DOJ. Because under this current regime, we've seen justice weaponized, citizens silenced, and faith in our institutions shattered. We need fighters who'll bring integrity back. Harmeet Dhillon is one of them. In today's America, standing for truth is dangerous. It's not enough to follow the law. You must affirm the narrative. But here's the truth. America wasn't founded on narratives. It was founded on principles. And when Harmeet refused to give Welch the soundbite he wanted, she upheld those principles, even when it would have been easier to just nod and comply. That's courage. That's leadership. That's the American spirit. To everyone watching this, understand what's at stake here. This wasn't just a spat over the 2020 election or a disagreement about redistricting. This was a battle over truth, over whether we still have the freedom to speak, the freedom to think, the freedom to dissent. Harmeet Dhillon walked into that Senate hearing with her head held high, and she left with her integrity intact. She didn't dodge. She didn't fold. She defended the law, upheld her oath, and showed America what principled public service looks like. And the left, they're afraid of that. Because once Americans start thinking freely, questioning boldly, and standing firmly on the Constitution, their grip on power crumbles. So let's follow Harmeet's lead. Let's refuse to be intimidated. Let's speak truth, defend liberty, and never, ever back down. This is America Viewpoint, where we don't whisper, we roar. We stand tall, speak loud, and never back down from defending truth and liberty. If this message fired you up, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the fight for America doesn't end when the video does. Until next time, stay strong, stay free, and may God bless the United States of America.